Hi there. Stephanie and I were just sitting up here with the interview set up, all complete, and decided it might be a good day to have a little discussion about H.A.R.E.S and how H.A.R.E.S got started. I don't actually remember the first time we got together to talk about H.A.R.E.S. Do you?
Well, I think it was kind of an offshoot of our coffees on Fridays. Where we were gathering to solve the world problems. And we started talking about, I remember this pretty accurately, because I remember one of our friends, Ron, saying questions about, what about this, what about that? And we'd start talking about these things.
He said he could never find the information he wanted.
In one place. So I think that's my recollection of how we kind of got started, where, hey, wouldn't it be great if we could have a single source area for information to help people who maybe were interested in getting started with gardening or self-sufficiency?
Yeah, any kind of self-sufficiency.
Yeah.
And I think that it's kind of blossomed from there.
Oh, yeah.
We've kind of melded with Joey's food circle group that she had started, and I can't believe how that has grown. It is a big group now that comes once a month and talks about food and eats great food, and I'm really tickled that's grown.
Incidentally, that's on the third Wednesday at the Mercantile at McKittrick, Missouri.
Yes, it is.
If you want to join in.
And all of our subjects that we talk about, because we have a little program each time, and they're all listed in advance for the year on the site. So you can go there and see what program is being offered, and if you're interested in that program for that month.
Yeah.
We try to plan it a year in advance.
Yes.
That way we know what's going on, well, kind of. And
it's very fluid.
And everybody knows what we're going to be talking about and if it's interesting to them or not.
And you can get on our website, www.H.A.R.E.S, HARES-MO.com, if you're interested in the topics. And the meetings always start at 6:30. We usually start off with a potluck dinner, which I guarantee you is the best meal in town.
Best meal you're going to have in town, absolutely.
And then we roll over to the presentation or the speaker.
And then we usually have a social hour or so afterwards where everybody kind of yaks and trades secrets and possibly other things. Like we had someone that came and brought some wine.
Yeah.
In the summer.
Winery.
Bring some wine to share once in a while. They have a wonderful selection of fruit wines, which I can drink since I have trouble with grapes. I'm always tickled to see them coming because that means I get a little bit of wine.
Right.
But it's a fun night that we do. We also try to plan, our goal, at least for this year, was to try to plan 2 events. One that would incorporate not just our producers, but some of the cottage businesses in town. I kind of felt like, as a cottage business owner who doesn't have a storefront, and that's my definition of a cottage business, if you don't have a storefront, makes it really difficult to promote yourself.
Yes.
And so even places like the Chambers of Commerce tend to ignore cottage businesses because they don't think, for one reason or another, I guess because they can't walk in your store and hound you for money, I guess is the reason that they're not interested in us. But I kind of felt like I wanted to do something to help those businesses promote themselves, and that's what our July event coming up is going to do.
Meet the producers.
And then in the fall, in November, we have another event, the Gift Basket Market, and we're going to have some of our cottage business people make little gifts and things that can be put into a basket, and then the H.A.R.E.S elves will make the basket pretty for you at the end. So you'll have one wonderful gift, at least one, to take home, and you'll have fun picking out all the little things that go in the basket.
Yeah, basically, aren't we going to provide a basket, and then they can go to the various producers and either fill the basket with whatever they want, or just at least talk to them and find out what services they provide or what products they provide.
It gives them a place to, both events actually give them a place to hobnob like they would at a chamber meeting, say. But the goal this year was to have 2 events that helped our promoters and our cottage businesses promote themselves.
Right.
And it's very difficult to promote a cottage business, as you know. You don't have the same tools that someone has when they have a storefront. And it makes it very difficult to get across to people what you do, and get across to people that you're a good person to work with, and you're trustworthy, and you're going to show up when you say you're going to show up.
Another reason we started the H.A.R.E.S group, which we haven't touched on at all, is to build a more of a self-sustaining community and resilient community, where you actually would know your growers, would know your food providers and your neighbors, so that if, God forbid, something really happened that was serious. I'm a Katrina survivor. I know exactly what it's like to go to the grocery stores and see nothing. So that's another reason we wanted to promote H.A.R.E.S, is to, God forbid, there be an interruption in the food chain due to a natural emergency. That way people could still go out, and you fostered this sense of community, as opposed to not knowing where your food comes from.
Well, and not only that, but knowing where your food comes from. I take the example of the milk that we have delivered once a week. I love our Dairy Maid, and I love the milk she brings us because I know it doesn't contain hormones. Right. I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I don't want that in my food. And so now I can find someone through H.A.R.E.S or through our food circle that it was a joy for me to be able to find that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I am a milk lover. And so I really appreciate finding that. I've learned how to make cheese thanks to Joey, and I've learned actually a lot of things thanks to both of you. And this is the wonderful thing about collaboration, is that no matter how much you know, you can always learn more.
Oh yeah, and at the food circle meetings and at our H.A.R.E.S events, I mean, I've been gardening forever. I mean, I can't remember not gardening, and so I'm talking about probably 1970s on. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that have been gardening for a long time. But when you meet other gardeners, you pick up these tips, or you say, hey, I've got this problem, and it's amazing the amount of resources.
Well, my husband and I, we do straw bale gardening now, thanks to someone we met through the food circle who shared that with us. We would never have known about that otherwise. And we now are successful straw bale gardeners. And it's exciting for me to say that I'm a successful gardener of any kind, because I can literally kill anything. And so just to be able to have food that comes from my own garden, I know what's been put on it. I know what's not been put on it. I know what seeds I'm growing. I know what plants I'm growing. And I know who that I get them from.
Well, it's very important. You touched on being a cancer survivor, as likewise I am. And when you have health issues that you realize are exacerbated. I hate to use that word because it's overused, but a lot of health issues are a result of what we are eating.
Oh, sure.
At least that's my opinion.
Yeah, me too.
And when you eliminate all these chemicals, because I'm a label reader, and you start reading these chemicals that are in this food, and it's like, why do I have hydrogenated whatever in cookies? Why do I have hydrogenated whatever in tomato
I don't put
sauce?
That when I make cookies.
Right. So why, when you have people producing things that you know exactly what's in the ingredients, you know that you don't have meat that's been saturated with hormones and antibiotics,
or sent to China for produce, for processing, and then shipped back here. I can't even imagine how unhealthy that must be.
Well, and they don't have the same kind of health standards.
No, they don't. And just the time. I mean, the idea of sending chicken to China and then, well, we're getting off on a tangent here, but it's a continuing and increasing problem. Unfortunately, now we're going to have less regulation. We're going to have less people looking at what's going in our food, and we're probably going to have less labeling.
Oh, yeah. And
I think knowing where your food comes from, the CSA in New Haven is wonderful for producing clean food. I think clean food is going to be the buzzword of the next 10 years.
Well, people are going to start... when you think about the obesity problem in the United States, you look at people and you realize that because of all these Frankenstein ingredients, as I call them, you eat, but you're not satiated.
Right.
Because your body is not getting these nutrients. And I'm not going to pretend to be a nutritionist or a scientist of any stretch of the imagination. But I also realize that just from looking at my own health records and my friends and other people's health records, I believe there's a direct correlation between what you ingest and the chemicals that you don't even know you're getting,
right,
and your health issues.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it's even more important for children.
Oh, yes.
I mean, kids eat bad anyway, even without any encouragement. So trying to get them to eat better bad food, like cookies. You just talked about cookies.
Right.
You can make cookies so easily from good ingredients, and then you're satisfied once you've eaten 2 or 3
and
cookies.
It tastes better.
And it tastes better. And when you don't have to eat a dozen cookies to feel like you've had your cookie break.
Right.
You can eat 2 or 3. I've noticed that in myself. I noticed that now that I'm on raw whole milk, I drink less of it than I did when I was buying the homogenized, pasteurized, chemicalized, hormonized milk that I can get, from the store.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that stores are not useful anymore. It just means that I think people are being more careful. I've even noticed in our local store that there's more healthier foods available than there used to be. And I think as a society, if we push that direction, we will get what we want. We will get more food.
Well, therein lies the struggle of, do I want to get cheap food? Do I want to spend maybe a little more to get quality food?
Yeah.
And one can argue this. I mean, I think it's all what you're used to. There's a lot of people who don't even think twice about, say, eating white bread as opposed to maybe a more grain, whole wheat kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then you get the gluten-free people that can't maybe ingest wheat.
Right, sure.
But yeah, that's one thing that I'm very proud of H.A.R.E.S. is I believe we have brought the choice to people. You can get on our website and find multiple producers. I know down in the farmers market right now, I immediately think of, homegrown chicken, beef, pork, rabbit, quail eggs, farm eggs, duck eggs, a variety of produce. There's also people who make like wreaths out of grapevines. They sew cooling rags that you can put water on and it absorbs the water.
Oh, those things work great.
Oh, those are fantastic. So there's a lot of things going on down at the farmers market, and it always changes. Sometimes people come down with crafted items, which really have nothing to do with food, but it's just aesthetically.
Well, and it's the idea of a local producer of some kind. The idea that if you can get a, whatever you're looking for. Let's say a bowl. You're looking for a bowl. If you can get a bowl from a local potter, and that bowl's going to last you your lifetime, and it's something made locally. We have someone that makes the most wonderful cutting boards.
That's right, the Milners.
Yep, and that's a product that you're going to have for a lifetime. And why not buy a product that you're going to have for a lifetime rather than something that you're going to have for a year or two and you're going to toss it in a can, and there's another problem.
Increasing the landfill waste.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think here again, it comes back to that word, sustainability. And that's really what H.A.R.E.S is about. It's about creating something that's sustainable, that people can count on year after year, and that's kind of what we're looking for in our producers, even in our cottage businesses. I mean, we have someone who makes aprons.
Yes, the same lady that makes the cooling rags. Incidentally, H.A.R.E.S stands for Herman Area Regional and Economic Sustainability. So we actually have sustainability in our title, so to speak, and our mission statement, of course, which is to make everyone more resilient. So H.A.R.E.S brings something I think very unique to the table, in that because Joey, Patti, and I have started this with our own money. We are not a 501c3, which is
a
dual-edged sword in many ways, because we can't compete for grants that other organizations do. But we've tried to keep it very grassroots, because we don't want to get sucked into having to answer to a master, so to speak.
Right, exactly.
So we just promote it. We promote it free to all the producers or anyone who's involved in the cottage industry as a service to the community. We don't really make any money, but we believe in it so strongly that we are willing to pony up our own funds
and
to make this happen.
Yep.
For the good of the community.
And our time.
And our time, yes. Okay.
Well, this has been a great discussion about H.A.R.E.S, and I think those of you who haven't been to the website, please go and look at it and spend an hour or 2 or 5 looking around and seeing all the great resources that we have there. We're linked to lots of other sites. Some sustainable building people are on our site. And this is an even bigger plea. Please, if you have a cottage business or you're a producer of food, please contact us and allow us to put you on our site so that we can help you promote your business, because we know you're not getting help from anyone else.
And it's free! So thank you again for another viewing of the Herman Area Regional and Economic Sustainability, or H.A.R.E.S. H.A.R.E.S site, www.HARES-mo.com for further information.
All right.